15 years ago, Merle Sage touched base with me. He was mayor, and he had wanted to know. I was part of Junior Women's Club in Geneseo. Wanted to know if our organization might be interested in working on this garden. This was always a real special spot to him, and the garden club Geneseo Garden Club used to maintain it. They maintained it for a couple years, and he wondered if we would be interested, and I knew I didn't think that was a project that was probably going to be sustainable within the club. So about 9 years ago in 2011, my son was getting ready to choose an Eagle Scout project. So there were 3 or 4 different locations and different projects that we looked at, and this was one I showed him because our family came to Richmond Hill a lot. My kids played soccer here, they both played tennis here, used to come up here for picnics and use the playground. It just seemed like a real natural fit for our family. And he looked at it and it looked like a challenge, and he became interested. We started doing some research into how we could clear the space and try to maintain some of the history of it. We tried to put in some native flowers. We worked with the city at that point. Okay, Clint Rice was the director of public works, and he worked with us a lot to get the cedar structures in. We did fundraising for a good year before it started. We had to raise over $5,000 just to start with the cedar structures. We had people donate in memory of people. The arbor at the top is in memory of my dad, would be Peyton's grandpa. And when we were trying to decide what flowers to put in, my son always liked purple and orange, and so one of the things we went with was the purple cone flowers. They're native to Illinois, and the tiger lilies were already here, but they were one of his favorites, one of my dad's favorites, so it seemed natural to allow those to stay. We had somebody give us all the hostas. When we started working on it, we had different scouts from the community and from his troop that came up and helped with the fundraising as well. And we did raise over $5,000 to put into the garden. And I think the best part was spending time with my son before he headed off to the Navy. And we would have work days up here, and everything had to be built. And he designed the benches, designed the panels, because he wanted something that was simple, and he wanted something that would kind of weather well. And we got done the summer of 2013, as he had to have it done before he turned 18 in October of 2013. And he received his Eagle Scout. He became an Eagle Scout in the spring of 2014. So, but we had over 800 hours put into the garden with volunteers, and then it was nice because I spent many days up here with my son. And after he went into the Navy in 2014, then each year after that, I wondered if I should come out and continue to work on it, and then I decided that was the only thing I could do. I enjoyed working in the garden, and it was something I didn't want to see go back to how it was. When we started working on the garden, we started asking different people in town what they knew about the area. We talked to Angie Snook up at the Historical Society, and she gave us some information as far as the stones. There were over 200 stones that we took out of the garden when we started working on it, and we thought they were stepping stones, and they are concrete slabs. Each one weighs probably between 15 and 30 pounds. And so there were a lot of young men that thought they would use their muscles and take all these out of here, and after about 5 or 6 really realized that this was not going to be as much fun as they might have thought. But we took everyone out and then put them all back in at the end, and we probably took out over 50 trees. The top of the garden where the arbor is, there were trees that were as tall as the arbor, and we came in and had to cut them down and then dig them out by the roots. And there are still trees that grow all over the garden that each year I come in and I take out. We've lost a couple trees, the taller trees, and this fall hope to put a few more back in. But we've tried to keep it as much how we had it when he finished it. And each year I come out and try to add more perennials so that it'll continue on. And it started out with everything really short and really small, and now things are growing and it's becoming easier to maintain every year because of that. So, and probably my greatest joy in coming out to work on it is the fact that I have people that live up here at Richmond Hill that walk in the area, and they come and they talk to me, and they come and they thank me because they tell me they've come in here to sit and relax, or they've come in, several of them have either gone through with a family member having cancer, or they themselves have had cancer, or they have a family member who has just passed away. And they'll share these stories with me about how this is where they come to meditate and come to pray and come to just spend time, and they feel like they're spending time with their loved one when they come and just sit in nature. And I love that because I feel like every time I'm here, I'm with my son and I'm with my dad. So it's always nice for me to be able to hear those stories too, and hear how many people come through. I missed seeing all the kids with soccer this year. The kids will come through the garden and they hopscotch through. And they come through, and I've actually seen kids that pretend they're getting married under the arbor, and they're coming. And it's fun to watch the community use it and enjoy it. Probably the funniest thing we saw, my son and I were working on the east side of the garden, and we were down digging something out, and we had a lady who was probably in her 80s, and she couldn't have realized we were there, and she was hopscotching through here, and all of a sudden we both kind of went, hello. And she just laughed, and she said she likes to come up here. It helps her practice. It helps her maintain her balance in the practice. You know, she practices her balance coming up on the. But we just laughed because she had to be in her 80s, and she didn't know we were there, and she was just like a little kid enjoying herself. So we've had a lot of good memories up here, and you know, even after my son is gone now, I come up here and I still have people stop and visit. I still have people that watched us while we worked on the garden and come in and comment on it and come and sit in the garden. And so it's always been a pleasure for me to do.